Hello, it's Jen here from Just Jen Cosplay, and it's that time of the week again. So, last week I left you with my boobie conundrum, boobies, that I just couldn't get it to work. So I kind of went back to the drawing board and, as always, watched a whole load of tutorials and tried to figure out what I was doing wrong. Why could I not get it the right shape? Why was it not enough? And just ending up, there you go. Or, you know, gaping boobs. So, in the end, I went back to good old Kamui Cosplay and her Eraser Girl build. Now, obviously, her, if you do go and have a look at it, she covers the entire boob, and it's sort of the actual breastplate comes from here upwards, so it is very different. But I sort of used her design roughly. I used the idea. So yeah, I do believe that I have fixed my boobie problem, and here is how. As you guys know, I've been having some trouble with my boobs, so this was the third attempt that I tried, and it was closer, but it still wasn't quite sort of this way enough. So I've just gone all out, and I've cut my pattern into 4 pieces, so that hopefully between the 4 connections, you can see sort of where they connect, that you've got this, I guess, the change in direction of the foam. So I'm hoping that with 4 of them, I'll be able to get the shape I want. Wish me luck. So far I've glued 2 bits together, and then I'll glue all yeah, you know what I mean. You can see what I'm doing. There you go. So here we have the 4 bits joined together, which took me up to here. I tried it on and realised it was far too small. Made the mistake of swapping bras in between, which didn't realise it could make such a huge difference. But anyway, word to the wise, use the same bra. So yeah, I basically glued this 4-bit to myself, and then made a new template with, of course, some more sticky tape, woo, painter's tape, whatever you want to call it, craft tape, and then cut that out, and I've stuck that on. Here we go. So as you can see, they are fairly big, but they fully cover both boobs. So I'm all right with that. One of them is very slightly bigger than the other, because despite tracing the template, I need to get a better tool to draw onto the foam with, because it's basically a felt tip. Let me show you. And better than anything, it's smelly. Like, each one smells differently. Yummy. The blue one is bubblegum, so yum yum yum. The pink one definitely smells nice, this one. But anyway, the point being that they are not fine tipped, so they've got a fairly large tip on them. I'm such a child, sorry. And that means that when I'm drawing a line, I don't have it, but basically the line is quite big. So when I then go to cut the foam, I'm ending up with them not being exactly the same size. And what I did with this is I built just the 1 cup first, to make sure that it worked, because I didn't want to go wasting more and more and more foam. So as you can see, it's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections to it, which has given it this much better curve, and meant that no boobies on show. Yay! To be honest, the cup isn't exactly perfect for what the reference image shows, but I'm not too fussed about that. I think most people will understand that you have to protect your modesty first. And then also I have coated it with my spray primer, so I will just very briefly show you my little videos for that. So you can just see I've attached the second boob, and now I'm going to spray it all with my spray prime. So it's just a simple case of literally spraying it over, and I'll show you when it's done. So I've coated one coat on them both. As you can see, they're now a grey colour, obviously, because it's grey. quite difficult to hold actually, I'm going to say. It might just be because I'm a big weakling, but yeah, actually took me a while to get used to the spraying action, but once I did it, it's quite good. So, not a huge amount of video, but the long and the short of it is I haven't really used any kind of spray can that I can think of for at least for a very long time. The coverage, once it started coming out, it felt like it took a while to actually get going. Then when it did, I could sort of see it, and it was a bit patchy, but I'm assuming that's my issue for not being very very skilled. But this is like 2 layers now, and 2 layers on the back as well. What I'm then going to do is get a spray can for some white acrylic, and that's going to be the base colour, and then I'll just use like a little bit of maybe oils or some different colour acrylic paint to go in and add the detailing. So what I don't want to be sat here doing is painting onto the foam, because I definitely found with the thinner foam when I was doing Lady Sylvanas is that it just didn't keep its shape at all. And obviously, having spent so long making some booby cups, I don't want to go completely out of shape. I should probably also talk to you about the shoulders, so that I don't end up going on for weeks and weeks and weeks about this cosplay. I wanted it to be fairly quick, and by that I'm talking within a few months, which compared to Lady Sylvanas is quick, because Lady Sylvanas was like 2 years. Although part of that, like 6 months of that, was me having an operation and getting better and recovering from it. I couldn't use a pair of scissors for quite a long time. I couldn't even write for probably 3 or 4 weeks. I couldn't. Or 2 weeks. I was in a sling and couldn't use it at all. So yeah, and then after that, another couple of weeks to actually be able to write properly. So I'm not going to say I'm ambidextrous by any means, but I can write with my left hand, just about. Anyway, shoulders. So I'll show you the progress so far. So if any of you have watched my previous very, very quick how to make a shoulder tutorial, the very base starts with exactly the same idea. But here you go. As always, this is trial and error. So I've drawn one side, one the other. Then I'll be cutting that out. I've chosen to use the floor mats because they're a lot thicker, so it should give it a bit more rigidity. I'm not sure what that is. Hopefully it will just buff out. But yeah, now I'm gonna slicey. There we go. So I have cut them out. So as you can see, I've got a couple of little nicks. Just seems to be really difficult to cut the really thick foam perfectly. You can see I've got this sort of I don't really know what to describe it as, tear, and some of it is a lot better, but I'm just going to pop it along the seams just quickly with my Dremel, and I'll wax some heat on it. So just very briefly, I've heated them, and you can just see slightly shaped them. Luna with her cone of shame coming to oversee the process, and I've covered the correct sides that I want to stick together with contact cement. So I'm just waiting for them to dry. I just tried it, wasn't quite done enough, so just waiting a couple more minutes and then I'll stick them all together. So I just thought I'd show this going together. Just want to be really careful and keep your thumb on the top, because this is the seam that I'm worried about. It doesn't really matter what it looks like on the bottom. So as with pretty much everything, I need a template first. So as you'd seen, that's the shoulder. I've cut out, I cut out my shoulder and my head, there you go, to make it a little bit easier for me to see. So that's roughly where I want that to sit. Then this armour has sort of these three bits coming down and round. So I've just done a basic, that's what I want it to look like. She says. Something like that. So I have these bits. As I've been sort of looking at this, I've realised that it's not going to be quite enough. This possibly needs to be bigger to obviously go round my arm. But bit of trial and error, and I'll let you know how it goes. So I just wanted to show you that I'm getting better at making these seams, but there is still a little bit, a couple of little mistakes there. You can see where I've cut a little bit. But anyway, never fear, because wood filler's here. So I'm just going to fill it so that I can then sand it, and hopefully that'll look all right. Bear in mind this is going to be sort of underneath a whole another little bit. It'll be like that. So I'm just going to fill that in and then let it all dry overnight before I do any more playing around with it. There you go, just to show you the filler in there. So I'll wait for that to dry and then show you what that looks like tomorrow after a little bit of sanding. Here we go, I have sanded it down, so it's now pretty smooth. I feel like there's just a couple of bits in here you can see where the sanding hasn't taken. Let's see if I can get that to focus. So you can see that it hasn't quite reached, which suggests to me that it's not perfectly flat. So I'm just going to chuck a little bit more wood filler in, because I want it to be a perfect seam. There you can get a rough idea of what it looks like if it's not all blurry. So that's how it's going to sit on the shoulder, she says, like that. It keeps falling over. So this bit comes up a bit. Yeah, looking good. Here's my bit of trial and error, so I've just cut these out. I will chuck my contact cement on it and I'll try sticking them together. I have a feeling that they're just going to be too thin, but we'll see. So actually it was fine at the top and it is plenty big enough. The issue is that I've tapered off here too much. So I've ended up with this corner when actually I want it to be a lot flatter than that. I want it to curve around, but not necessarily in like this. So back to the drawing board with that bit of the pattern. While I am waiting for my second layer of filler to dry, I've been cutting out the bits for the lower arm section. It's been a bit of trial and error really. Initially I tried to cut them out of separate pieces and then stick them together, but I couldn't get the curve quite right, and I realised it's because I actually didn't need to be joining like this. I just needed one piece that was going to sit around the arm like that. And again with the second piece, which is just slightly smaller and will be slightly raised off, so it'll look something like that. I've tried heating it and bending it a bit, but it doesn't necessarily keep its, because it's quite thin. It's only the 5mm that I'm using for this. It might just be a case of when I'm sticking it, if I stick it in such a way that it stays up and away. The top bit is the one I've had the most difficulty with, because it kind of needs to look like that off the top. So I've been fiddling around, gluing bits together. I made a demo bit like this, but just didn't sit right. Might again just be that I've made too much of a curve on it, so hence I tried just doing it with one piece. But I have, well, I'll try and glue some of these bits together so that we can see what it's looking like, and then figure out what I'm going to do with this bit. But it gives you a rough idea how it would look. Rough, very rough idea. Sylvanus in the background. Yeah, something like that down the arm. So that's what it would look like coming out of the shoulder piece. yeah, so I'm going to get around to trying to finish this bit off today. Wish me luck. Here you go. So this is the second load of filler put in, and as you, that's not necessarily the best part. Here we go. You can see how much smaller and better that seam now is. So really pleased with how that's turned out. I've also been messing about with a way for it to sit on the shoulder. So as I'd mentioned, that's how it's going to sit on the shoulder. I've written a little front and back on them so I could remember. So I've put this is a little scrap of EVA foam just to sit on the shoulder. So that will just sit on my shoulder. I'm planning on the back bit being connected via a piece of EVA foam. So that should keep it sort of roughly still on the shoulder. And I'm hoping that'll work. We'll see, I guess. Ta-da. Ta-da. So this is a bit of a fiddly bit. So I've literally just stuck this longer piece underneath, just with some contact cement, and literally you can just see there. And then I've drawn out where I want this second piece on top to sit, and I've just popped a bit of contact cement on there and on the sides. Then hopefully when I whack this on top, it'll stay roughly in the shape that I want it to be. So as you can see, there's a slight lift here from where it's stuck on, so quite pleased with that. So now it's on to the third bit, where I've cut a tiny seam to just make it so that it bends, as you can see. And then I've got 3 bits of contact cement and 3 bits of contact cement. So hopefully that will work as well. So there, I'm pretty pleased with the way that looks. So now I just have to figure out how to do all the declaning on on the top of it. Yeah. I just so you know, I went round all of the edges, and they are just slightly, I guess beveled. Is that the right word? With the Dremel, just to give it a bit more. I don't know. I thought it'd finish nicely. Yeah, I'm really pleased with the way that those 3 have tiered up. I'm probably going to regret this because don't quite know how I'm going to paint this, but hopefully I'm somebody I know might have a spray painter majiggy. There you go, English, good English, because that might work. Yeah. So I mentioned that I just cut a little V in, so this is the other one that I'm making, so I just thought I'd show you. Literally just a little V, bit of contact cement either side, and then I'll just glue those back together. And then I also wanted to show that I'm making these little, I guess, razors. I don't really know what else to call them. So this is a couple that I've already made. So I've just sandwiched my thick floor mat with some of the 5mm that I've got. Then I'll Dremel that down so that they're all nicely done, and then they're going to sit on the top of the shoulder pieces like that, just to give an extra sort of, yeah, riser, whatever we call it, on there. So I'll show you once they're all stuck together. So like I said, literally just floor mat and one of them, just so that that both sides are going to look all right. So you can just see the contact cement there, and then I'll just sandwich them together. So I just thought I'd show you. So obviously when they were stuck together, they're not perfect. So I've just gone along with the sander, rotary tool, and just sanded all the edges. I haven't yet decided. Some of them, like this one's bonded really well, and you can barely see the join. If I think it needs it, I'll squish some of the good old wood filler in. But I think they might be alright by the time they're primed and everything. Yeah, so just one more to do. And then they're all ready to go on to the shoulder pieces. Here we go, next step. So I wood filled all of these, I'd rather be safe than sorry, and then I've sanded them down. I'm now covering them with, again, contact cement, and contact cement on here, and then wait for a couple of minutes for that to dry, and then I'll just be placing it on, and I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. So here's the basic structure then, as you've seen. Effectively, it's just this shoulder piece, which I've got a little shoulder mount inside. Let's see if I get that in the sunshine. There you go. Which then that will just sit on the arm, like that, on the arm, on the shoulder. Because of the way it looks at the back, I'm going to fix across the back. So the actual two of them should be a fixed height, distance apart. So the thing that I do need to do is to figure out how I'm actually going to properly attach them. So the idea is Velcro. They're not very light, heavy at all. They're pretty light at the moment, but I do have to add. There's still a little bit extra. So in terms of the picture, if I show you again now, then it's effectively like the green part that you've just seen on there. This sort of extra triangle that will come out here and sit along here. So that is what I'm working on over the next week. It's taken me a long time, to be honest, a lot of trial and error to figure out that bit. These bits were really easy. And this bit was a bit of fun. I've never done anything like this before. Like Lady Sylvanus's shoulder pads, whilst they look great, don't get me wrong, they are actually much simpler than this, because they are just one piece of warbler bent round and then a second piece of warbler attached to it, whereas as you can see we're already at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 parts. Ooh. And if you include the fact that these are 2 bits of foam sandwiched together, then more. And then obviously I've got to build this triangle over the top. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how they're looking at the moment. I hold them like this, so I look very cool. Very badass. But yeah, I feel like it's sort of coming together. I think, so for next week my plan is to have finished this triangular bit and get those primed. And what I would like to have done is to have started painting the breastplate, so I can show you that. We'll see how well I do. I feel like if I try and commit to it on camera, then I'm much better at doing it. And just a little side note, not next week, but the week after, I have been asked by a little, a company of a friend, I suppose, now. So when I was making Lady Sylvanus, I went along to a wig styling class, and they were super helpful there. And whilst I didn't do a lot of styling for Lady Sylvanus, it was simple things like knowing how to soak it back in, if it gets knotted, so soaking it in fabric softener. You don't put it in like shampoo or something, which obviously when you think about it, it's synthetic, it's material, so of course you would, but in your head you're like, well, it's a wig, so it's hair. Using the certain brands of hairspray or hairstyling stuff, and anyway, yeah, really helpful, and yeah, a great resource, I suppose. And they do maker spaces for people. Unfortunately, I pretty much can never go to them because I'm 150 miles away, because that's down in Bournemouth. But I am going to go along and take my Lady Sylvanus for part of a photo shoot for a calendar. So I am really looking forward to that, because it's just a chance for me to, I guess, network. I don't know why I'm doing that, because it is networking, but I feel like it's a really corporate word, networking. And actually 2 of the people taking part, I believe, are the 2 people, or 2 of the 3 people who were judging me in the Bournemouth Comic Con, and one of them gave me the honourable mention, so that'll be really nice. And I saw them both at the October MCM London, and they both got honourable mentions there. So it'll be a really good opportunity for me just to have a chat with them and understand how do they deal with the pressures of, well, the masquerade, because it's a nightmare, to be honest with you. So that's 2 weeks' time. I'll ask them if maybe they'll let me do a little video. So we'll see. just something a little bit different and exciting, and I'm hoping I'll get a couple of photos out of it that I can share with you guys, and yeah, I'm hoping it'll be a lot of fun. So, until next week, bye!